Hi and good morning. My name is Kieron Lyons and welcome to this session of our monthly training. And in this session we're going to be discussing the subject of WordPress beginning to end, where you submitted your questions and I'm going to now answer them. Now it's been about 2 months since the updated version of WordPress beginning to end was released, and it's given me enough time for most of you to submit your questions and to ask questions, and I'm going to take the time now to actually answer all of your questions in this training video. So I hope you find this useful and I hope you find it informative, and any questions that don't get answered in this session, please feel free to submit them to Ask MIT and we'll be more than happy to answer them by email. So with that said, we should move along. I think we'll probably be about an hour and a half, and we should get through this month's questions. So once again, this is the Ask MIT questions and answers, and the subject for this training video is WordPress beginning to end. So let's begin. So the first question this morning is from Ryan, and Ryan is asking, could I recommend an affiliate plugin that works inside WordPress and also works with wish list member? Well, Ryan, straight off the bat, there's not a lot that I can think of, because I don't understand the reason why you're asking about wish list member, because if you have a software running your affiliate program, then you should be good to go in all kinds of manner of things. But with that said, there is one plugin, and if I just bring you over to my screen, we can have a look and see. Yeah, there it is there. There's Affiliate Royale, which is a WordPress plugin, and it's pretty good, and I think that it actually says wish list here, so I think you'd be good to go with that if you just go to affiliateroyale.com. I do believe you have to purchase this, but that said, you are getting your affiliate program independent of any other software, and it in fact runs inside of WordPress. So I think that's probably the solution for you. So thank you for your question and good luck with that. And the next question comes from Sandra, and Sandra writes, Kieron, thank you for all the training. It's invaluable. Can I please ask, is there a plugin? I beg your pardon? Oh, okay. No. Sandra's asking basically in a nutshell, do I recommend using a phone number and an email on your website? Well, the short answer is it's if or and what I mean by that is that you could effectively put a contact, you could put your email, most definitely put your phone number, that's for sure. But the thing about email is that when you put your email address on your website, it causes you to get spammed, and that's without a shadow of a doubt. So what I would suggest is that if you need to put an email, is that you don't put your primary email address on your website. So for example, I have my own personal email address, which I don't put on my website, but I do put support@kieronlyons.com, and you could equally do something the same as that. And the reason that I don't put my primary email addresses is to save me from getting spam, but my support desk and the people that man that desk take care of any spam and things like that on that email account. Now equally, you could also set up a contact form on your website, and if I just show you by going to my website, and if I go to the contact page, what we will see is a contact form, and this here is called Contact Form 7, and it's a plugin, a WordPress plugin, which you can download and install free of charge, and you can customize this plugin to create the contact form and to do anything that you want to do. You can have drop downs, you can have questions and answers and such like. So this is pretty good, and it's probably worth having the contact form on your website. And also you can then, like I have here, here's my UK office address, and it has support@kieronlines.com and the website as well as the phone number. So everything is fine there, but also then you can put your contact form if you wish. And I hope that answers your question. Okay, and the next question comes from Sharon, and Sharon is asking, my website is 2005, and I want to have a mobile responsive website. Should I scrap my existing website and just start afresh, or should I have my website programmed to be responsive? Well, Sharon, the short answer for that is basically I'd scrap your website, and that's the bottom line. And the reason that I'd scrap your website is because responsive means the team, and in effect what you're saying is that you want a mobile friendly website and you want it to be responsive. Well, responsive actually does mean your team is responsive. So when you add up all the pros and cons of you having somebody else program your website to be responsive, or indeed for you to attack each of the elements and the divs and the images and things and make them all responsive, it's really not, it's not very viable, and it's not very cost effective. So what I would do is I would basically go out and I would do a search of the premium teams and find a team that would be to your liking, and I would buy that, install that team, customize the theme, and you already have your content, so you're set to go. And that's it. Just do that and you'll be up to date, and you'll have a new website with a makeover, and everything will be lovely and fresh, as well as being completely mobile responsive. So good luck with that, Sharon, and I wish you the very best. Okay, and we have a question from Kira. Kira is asking about, Kieron, you demonstrated CCSMe plugin, and I have a question, which is, does using CSSMe cause a new style sheet to be written? And if so, does that slow down the website? Well, actually, Kira, the answer to that question is no. It doesn't create an additional style sheet. What CSSMe does is effectively it embeds what you put into the CCSMe panel on the page, and it relates only to that page. So where in certain circumstances or other circumstances, such programs would create an additional style sheet for every page that you created, this one actually embeds it into the code and it becomes part of that page. You'll also remember that I demonstrated the importance of using the word important after some of the elements, and that's in fact to tell your existing style sheet that this is important and to override it. So no, it doesn't create additional style sheets, it doesn't slow down your website, and you shouldn't have any problems whatsoever. And that's about it in a nutshell. Okay, and a question from Antonio, and Antonio asks, Kieron, what is the best video streaming service available? Well, I kind of covered that in the training, but however, just to clarify, I actually highly recommend using Amazon S3. Yes, there's Vimeo and other places out there that do a perfectly fine job, but the thing about Amazon S3 is that it not only allows you to store your videos, it allows you to store your audio, it allows you to store your documents, your images, and effectively store everything, and as well as back up your website independently of your host to Amazon S3. So I recommend Amazon S3 for the first reason is that because it's load balanced. So that means basically, it displays the videos in country. So if you're looking in the States, you get it from the States. If you're looking from Germany, you get it from Germany. If you're looking from Ireland, you get the streaming download from Ireland. But apart from that, then you have the addition of having all of your content in the one place, which is really, really super. Now, Amazon S3 is pretty impressive in terms of uptime. That, in fact, I can't remember the last time that it actually went down and it was offline and unavailable. So you have a pretty good track record there of 99.999% as opposed to other service providers. So I would absolutely most definitely use the Amazon S3 streaming video. And not to mention the fact that you can now, because of WordPress using HTML5, you can just take the link from Amazon, put it into a page or a post, and your video will automatically play in the WordPress player. So that's pretty cool, and there's no need then to have external resources like Vimeo, for example. Okay, thank you for your question. Okay, and the next question comes from Paul Et, I believe it is, and the question is, can you recommend a good team that is mobile optimized, Google Analytics friendly, and SEO friendly, as well as can you also recommend a good SEO provider, or how much a good SEO provider would charge a small business like me? Well, basically, your team will do an awful lot of what you're asking for, and so whatever team you choose, it should be actually optimized for the web, and therefore you only have to add your Google Analytics code, you only have to add your stats counter code, and you've got your traffic analytics built in there. Now, as to regards to the SEO element of your question, SEO is it's a big industry, and I spent many years as an SEO expert when I was starting out doing SEO, and it's pretty expensive, I can tell you that. So if you start looking for companies to do SEO, you at a minimum you're looking at about $500 all the way up to maybe $1,500 a month. Now, with that said, there's no reason, absolutely no reason whatsoever, that why you shouldn't be using all the SEO plugin by Yoast and optimizing your own pages. At the very least, you should try, and to optimize your pages. I mean, SEO by Yoast is kind of out of the box. It does a great job, and it does everything that you need it to do. So I don't understand why anybody would want to go out and pay a company to do their SEO. So I would, in the first instance, especially if you're on a budget, is install the SEO by Yoast and optimize, maybe just optimize your primary pages and see how you get on. But I would very much recommend doing that as a way of reducing costs. And it's also a good learning curve for you, the user, to optimize your pages so as you are getting the best bang for your buck. So I hope that answers the question. Okay, and we have a question here from Arlene, and Arlene says, "Hi Kieron, thanks for the great training. It's really super and I'm enjoying it." And this is a two-part question. The first is regarding Optimized Press, and Arlene is asking, "Kieron, what do I think of Optimized Press 2, and is it a satisfactory product?" Well, I know Optimized Press, and I've used Optimized Press, as in the plugin. Optimized Press comes in two flavors. One is for membership software, and the other is then for a membership team, should I say, and the other is just the plugin that creates pages. And I don't use the membership software because I use something different. However, the plugin for the pages it's an okay product. It does perfectly well. It depends on what you want to do. I recently have come of the mind to move all of my trainings out of Optimized Press and into my website, because my new website is pretty cool and it does a lot of funky things, and therefore I don't really need Optimized Press. But as usual, when it comes to things like that, I'm sort of, I have an awful lot of training in there, and I don't need the hassle. So I'm kind of backwards and forwards. But to your question, it's a pretty stable product. It did have problems in the past in Optimized Press number 1, where it got hacked and it caused a lot of people got hurt because of that. But there's no such problems with Optimized Press 2. Their support is woeful, I'll tell you that now. If they have an issue, they just close their ears and you have to wait for it to be fixed, and that's the bottom line. But other than that, it's perfectly fine, and I would use that if that's what you want to do. So the second part then of Arlene's question is, if you were starting out today, how would you, if you were starting out today selling a book product, how would you set yourself up in regards to shopping cart and email capture? Well, that's a pretty simple scenario, because basically, if I was setting off on the internet marketing business today, I would certainly be, and in the book market as you've suggested, I would be setting my book up on Amazon S3, or not Amazon, Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble, for example, and just selling it that way, because these guys get pretty big exposure and you can't really go wrong. Now, on the other hand, if you want to sell your book, you could do it this way. You have it up on Amazon, you have it on Barnes & Noble, and you also want to sell it yourself. Well, you just add it to your website as a product, and you can basically, you can use one shopping cart, for example, or easy digital download as another to protect your content, and just put it up as a product. And when people pay either through your shopping cart or through your PayPal account, then upon the successful completion of them making the payment, what happens is that you select the URL that they're taken to, which is a thank you page with your link for the download of your book. And that's pretty much how I do it. In terms of email capture, I would be using Aweber, as I've always suggested that people use Aweber. But you can use MailChimp, or you can use Constant Contact, for example. And there's lots of things that you can do in terms of that. But they're, in a nutshell, they're the 3 questions that have now been answered. So good luck with that, and I hope it all works out well for you. Okay, and the next question is, how do I edit my website without the public taking note or seeing it while I'm updating it? That's pretty simple. All you have to do is basically go into your plugins and install the maintenance plugin, which I have on my screen for you. And if we go here, and you can see here, there's easy maintenance mode, there's GS message bar. But basically, you just install the maintenance plugin, and it basically will put a maintenance page on the front of your website. And so for anybody coming to your website that's not logged in, they will see, "Hi, we're down for maintenance, please come back later." And that's what they see. Now, if you're logged in, you can work away on your website, you can see all your pages, and everything is good. However, if you log out and you go to your URL, then you won't be able to see your maintenance because you're just like everybody else. You're just visiting the site and you get to see the maintenance mode message. So that's the easiest way to do it, and it's free, and it's downloadable at your plugins section of your WordPress installation. And the next question comes from Rodriguez. Yeah, it's Rodriguez, and he's asking, how do I remove the date from my posts? I have posts that I wish to keep evergreen and do not want to have the date shown on my posts. Can you help? Yes, I can help, because that's pretty simple. And all you've got to do is basically go into your settings, and if we go over to the website again, and we go over here to your settings and to general, I think, let me just check. Okay, and here it is. Yeah, so just down here on the custom date format, so it's general settings, or settings, then general, date format, and if you select custom and remove this here, then you will be perfectly fine to go. That will remove the date in that format. And if you are a little bit more inclined, you could also go to your appearance and to the theme editor, and you could also do it this way, which is removing the coding for the date, so you'll have no date whatsoever. And basically you come over here to the right hand column and pick your archives PHP, and then you will pretty much come in here. And I don't recommend this for newbies or people that don't know what they're doing, but for those of you who do know what you're doing, this is what you would do. You come in here and you would come down and you'd look at the content, and here it is here. So somewhere from, say, here, class clear fix post time icon times p end if. Okay, so from here you would then delete your date format from the post, and it would be between these two brackets. So here you can see it's the post date, and on the last line it's the date class h3 timeline title PHP echo. So if you remove the date from there, that will also fix that issue for you. So thank you for your question, and I wish you well with that. I hope it works out for you. And Stephen asks, I have a number of opt-in pages. How do I avoid the issue of Google? How do I stop Google from penalizing me for having duplicate content on my opt-in pages? Well, I mean, the bottom line is, are you in business to make money, or are you in business to make Google happy? While I comply with everything that Google says, I don't listen to everything they say, and nor should you. Bottom line is that, you know, even when I'm using my 10, 20, 30, 40 times X scenario, they're all opt-in pages with essentially just a headline change. And therefore, there is pretty much the same content on 30, 40 pages at a time. So therefore, I wouldn't be worrying about Google, because it is an opt-in page, and so there's not an awful lot of content on it. And even more so, now that we're in the era of video and audio, there's even less written content. So I wouldn't really worry about Google. What I would do is I'd set up a folder on your server. I would create my opt-in pages, and for example, I could create a folder for, if I was selling MIT, I'd set up opt-in MIT, and I'd put all of my files, my opt-ins for MIT inside that folder. And then I would, if I was selling SEO services, I'd put in opt-in SEO, and again, I put in my 30, 40, 50 pages into those folders, and I would optimize them, meaning I would search engine optimize them, and I would submit to them search engines, and if they take it up, that's great, and happy days, I've got some extra free traffic. But don't forget, like, Google accounts for probably, in the real world, about 5 to 8% of your traffic. So therefore, the remaining balance, for easy maths, let's just call it 95% of your traffic, is going to be pay-per-click driven or social media driven. In other words, you're going to be paying for your traffic, and you should be paying for your traffic because it's the quickest way to market, and it is indeed the most effective at targeting. So I wouldn't be so worried about Google. I'd be more focused on the opt-ins and things like that. So I hope that answers your question for you. Okay, and the question from Lucy Duggan. Hi, Lucy. She has two questions, and the first of which is there a way to check, when you're creating a new logo, is there a way to check if the logo is already taken? Well, the short answer to that one, Lucy, is, in fact, there's not really an official way to check to see if your logo has already been designed or what have you. But what you can do is you can go to Google Analytics or Google, as I've shown here on the screen. If you go to Google search and you drop in your logo, so if I do that again, and if I just take the logo from, let's just take a logo from an image, I beg your pardon, from here, and I'll just show you how this works. So I take the logo, and basically I just drop the logo. You see here, I pulled this off the website, I just dropped the logo, and then it comes back with all of these here. So clearly I can see my picture, and I can see all of the pictures here, and that works pretty well. And that's about it. That's about all that you can do to see if your logo is in use. Well, at least for what I know to be true. So if that helps, I hope it does. And the second part of your question then is, And the question is, I use WP Twin. Is there a better way to clone websites? Well, Lucy, if you're using WP Twin, there's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't continue using it, because it's a perfectly fine plugin, and it does exactly what it says on the tin. It clones your website, and you should be in very good shape. So I would continue to use that, because there's no point in looking for another plugin to do the same thing when WP Twin is actually fine. So good luck with those questions, and thank you for asking the questions. And the question coming in from Francesco, if you have a website and you want to move it, is it simple or complex, or do I have to go and rewrite the whole website? Please help. Well, Francesco, it's pretty simple actually. What you do is, if I go to my screen, and if I then go down to the tools and the export function, what you basically do is you go in there into tools, export, and you select all content, and you just download the file. And that makes it so if you have my website, KieronLines.com, you can just download the whole website, and it puts it into an exportable file. And then when you have downloaded it, you go to your new host, and you just go to import in your WordPress installation on your new host, and you basically pick WordPress, as you can see here on the screen. And when that rolls over, it basically asks you to give the XML file, which you will have, and you just choose your file and select upload, and away you go. It's as simple as that. It couldn't be easier, my friend. So if you are moving your site, that's as easy a way to do it than any I've come across, and it's fairly good. The only time that it's not so good is when it's a massive site and you need more than just what WordPress offers in terms of FTP. But in most general cases, this is exactly what it would take to move that website. So I hope that answers your question, Francesco. Okay, the next question comes from Lucy again. Okay, Lucy. The question Lucy is asking is, hi Kieron, sorry to ask another question, but my website backend is showing an error message saying my PHP 5.2 numbers is out of date and needs to be updated. How do I update my PHP 5.2? You don't. It's the bottom line. What you do is you call your web host and you ask them to update you to the latest version of PHP, and they should do that for you in a matter of seconds, probably while you're on the support line. They'll do that for you. PHP is kind of thing that gets forgotten about until something goes wrong, but you should always keep up to date in PHP. And Lucy, just so you know, we are on PHP 4 point something, and therefore you're quite a bit out of the game. So to ensure the integrity of your website, I would upgrade. To ensure that your plugins continue to work, I would also upgrade. And to make sure that your website won't get hacked, I'd also upgrade, because you're out of date by a lot of versions, and therefore there would possibly be loopholes in the PHP that would leave you susceptible to a cyber attack, so to speak. So just ring your host and ask them to update your PHP, and you should be good to go. Okay, and Michelle is asking a question about okay. Her question is coming in, and what she's asking is, Kieron, you made reference to publishing ebooks and such like. What's the link to that in order to achieve that? And I believe the link is actually Pressbooks. And what you do is basically you go to WordPress, you do a search for Pressbooks, install that plugin, and then what you do after that is if you have a book, for example, you take each chapter of the book and put each chapter into a blog post. And let's say, for example, I use my book, Internet Marketing in the 21st Century, and what I would do is I'd put each chapter into, or each chapter of the book into an individual blog post, but I would call that IM21C. So I'd know that that's for Internet Marketing in the 21st Century, and also so Pressbooks I could easily identify which pages I wanted to include. Now it's important that you only include the book, the content of the book in the category that you set. So that's very important for it to work properly. So once again, you set your category as IM21C, Internet Marketing for 21st Century, and then chapter 1 into a blog post, chapter 2 into another blog post, chapter 3, and so on. Table of contents and what have you, and use it in that fashion, and you should be good to go. And the next question comes from Stephen, and Stephen is asking, I have a Bluehost account. Can I do all my CSS inside Bluehost? And the second part of the question is, I also would like to know, does Bluehost allow you to run multi-site environments? Well, the answer to that question is, in the first instance, the answer is yes. I happen to know that Bluehost allows you to modify all your files, and so that's no problems at all. In terms of a multi-site, again, that's absolutely doable inside Bluehost. I don't know about other hosts and what the terms and conditions are, but just be aware with a multi-site environment where you have one or more blogs that multi-site doesn't work with a lot of plugins and can cause you serious grief if you are trying to take existing sites and put them into a multi-site environment, that you might get a lot of errors in terms of your plugins. So I'd be very careful and very picky about going down that route. But pound for pound, if it's just blogs that you're managing or you're going to run and there's nothing fancy with their plugins or what have you, then absolutely go for it. There's no problem whatsoever. And Bluehost and I think HostGator and GoDaddy, they all allow that kind of environment because they want people to host with them. So I hope that answers your question, and I hope it works out for you, Stephen. Thank you for your question. Okay, and Alan from, it doesn't say, Alan is asking, you are using Firebug in your demonstration and I missed the part of how to start it. Well, Alan, how dare you miss anything, a minute of my training. How you start Firebug is very basic, and if I bring you over to my screen and we go to, well, let's go to, okay, so if I bring you over to my screen here, we still have Affiliate Royale open, but like they have an image here that's interesting, so I can just come up here to the browser bar and I click on the Firebug, which is here, and in just a second it should pop up, and I click Inspect Element, and wherever my mouse goes over, it brings up that piece of code. And so therefore I want to take a look at the top element, and this is it here, and I can then open it and then come over here and I can use the this here to change the colors and fonts and what have you on the web page, and it's as easy as that. So it's again, press Firebug on and press Firebug off, on, off, and it's easy. It's as simple as 1, 2, 3. So moving on to the next question, and the next one is from Brian Cox, and he's asking, okay, we've had this question before, Kieron, what video do you recommend for using on WordPress? I don't want to use YouTube and I don't want to have Flow Player showing on my videos. Well, I answered that question just a little while ago, and it's absolutely Amazon S3, and you can just take the link from Amazon S3, throw it into WordPress, and there you have a beautiful video player without incident. Oh, I should mention as well though, the only problem with the WordPress player is if you have a series of videos, so say you had 6 videos on the one page, then it becomes a little bit troublesome because WordPress preloads all videos. So if you have one or more videos on a website, it can become slow because all the videos are loading at the same time. So it's probably a good idea to separate out your videos into individual posts or pages and to avoid that issue. But other than that, that's how you do it. Okay? Okay, so the next question comes from Sheila, and Sheila is asking, can I have more than one blog on my website? The answer to that one, Sheila, is kind of yes and kind of no, because WordPress installs its software and it creates a single blog. But with that said, what you could do is effectively using the categories, just like I described earlier on, in regards to publishing an ebook. What you could do is set up individual categories. So, for example, using the categories tag, I would use blog 1, blog 2, blog 3, and in that way, then you can post only to that blog. So you might have entertainment, you might have social media, you might have people and lifestyle, and such like. So each section, each category is in fact, could be treated as a new blog in terms of what you're trying to do. So I hope, Sheila, that's helpful, and I hope it works well for you. Okay, and the next question is about the navigation, and can I change the text on the navigation bar? Okay, so what you could do is very simply go over here to your appearance and to your menus, and it will allow you then to change the text in those links. It's pretty easy. So for example, about me on my homepage, here it is here, and as you can see, I can go in here and I can change the text in the navigation label. And this one doesn't have a link because it's actually picked it up as a normal menu item. However, if I then wanted to add a menu that didn't show up, I would go in here, enter the URL, and enter my text into the link text and select. So let's just do a little test here. KieronLyons.com/test, and what I would do then is just put it up as TEST and add it to the menu, and that should show up down the bottom here as it does. So I select Save Menu, and now if I come up to Kieron Lyons' website, my own website, I should, and there it is there, test. So there's no problems in changing any of the navigation links. You just have to do it in that way. The only thing I will point out is that some themes come with multiple navigation bars, so you would have to pick the navigation bar that you want. So for example, if I wanted the top or the start or sidebar, the one page, or in this case, Kieron's main navigation, then I select that menu, then I come down and I edit accordingly as I want to edit my menu structure. So I hope that helps you, and thank you for your question. And the next question comes from Gerhardt, I think it's Gerhardt, and he's asking, okay, he's asking, if I'm creating a background image and it has to be 1 pixel wide, what height does it have to be? Well, if you're creating an image and it's 1 pixel in width, and you want that image to basically fade out, so you would have the top of the image would be blue, coming down it's going to fade out as into white, then it doesn't really matter because WordPress will crunch it up anyway, and it will determine where the start is and then fade it out, and you're good to go. So I'd make that image, 1 pixel wide by 100 pixels, and I'd leave it at that because you'd be perfectly fine then. Okay, I'm sorry about the pronunciation of your name. I hope it's correct, and thank you for your question. Okay, and the next question is from, again, it is Eric, and his question is, I have a website that I have 20 something clients, and I would like to scroll their logos below my header. What would you recommend? Well, there's a couple of ways of doing this, and one of them is that the easiest and simplest is to get a plugin for a gallery or something like that, or use the WordPress gallery, and you set up a slider below the logo, and you would have each image showing, and you could then, depending on which slider you use, it would then determine how the images are displayed and how they're actually shown. So you could have a slider where it's sliding slowly but continuously throughout the day. It's really a matter of finding the right slider to do what you want to do. But the WordPress comes with a stock standard gallery, and it does have a slider, so you should try that. And then you should look for other sliders in the plugins area of your website, of your WordPress, and try out different plugins and see which slider does the best job for you. There is other ways of doing it, but it's a little bit more complicated. So I think for the purposes of the question, I'll leave it at that. And so thank you for your question. Okay, so the next question comes from Paul, and Paul is asking a two-part question. Kieron, what application would you recommend for reducing image sizes for your WordPress website? And the second question is, okay, well, we'll come to the second question in just a moment. What you could do is basically install a program, a WordPress plugin, and that program is called Smushit, S-M-U-S-H-I-T. And what that does is compresses all of your images on your WordPress installation. And naturally, WordPress condenses your site's images automatically. But if you want to increase that, what will I say, compression, then you would use a program like Smushit, and it will reduce your file sizes down to something that's quite reasonable and user-friendly. I don't know why, though, if you have a lot of images, I don't know why you have them displaying on your WordPress site per se, meaning that they're in the library, as opposed to why not have your WordPress, why not have all your images, if you're using a lot of images, up on Amazon S3 with links to the website. And that's a much more effective way of displaying your images. So you might want to give that some consideration, because they display just as well on Amazon S3, but without having such a heavy load on your server. So you might want to give that some consideration. So the second part of your question is about social media buttons and such like. I'd just simply go and use a program called Add This. You sign up for it, and it will allow you to configure all the social media buttons that you want to use. And then there's a plugin. Once you sign up, you get the plugin installed on your WordPress website, and then you add it to your widgets, and the buttons appear on your web page and on your blog, depending what way you want to set up. On that point, I do think it's worth saying, though, that an awful lot of people go overboard when it comes to the social media sharing buttons, and they add all sorts of buttons which are really not necessary. I mean, when you think about it, like, unless you're a B2B business, why is LinkedIn on your social media sharing buttons? It's just not necessary. I personally would recommend that you go with Facebook, you go with Twitter, you go with email, and possibly G+, and leave it at that. Because when you put in all these other sites like Pinterest, Instagram, and such like, it's getting ridiculous, and you have to think realistically, like, what are your visitors doing? How many of them do you think are on all of those social platforms? So, like I said, I would really keep it to the bare bones of what's usable, and that is to be Facebook, to be Google+, and Twitter, and also And the biggest one, by the way, for social sharing is actually by email. So make sure your email is included in the social sharing buttons. And with that, I think you'll be perfectly fine. So again, the program's called Add This, and you sign up and get your account. You configure your social buttons in the Add This program, and then you download the plugin once you're set up and install it, and then apply it in your widgets to your website. And I hope that answers your question going forward anyway. Okay, and Alex is now asking the following question, and the question is, hi Kieron, thank you for the super training. I would like to ask, is there a way to check each of the browsers, how my website appears in each of the browsers? Let me think about that. Yeah, you could download each browser and look at your website, or equally you could basically go to a site that's called, we just go to a website, and basically you go here to browser shots, enter your website URL here, and it will search all of these versions of all the search engines, or I beg your pardon, browsers, Linux, Windows, Mac, and BSD, whatever that is, and it will come back with the results for you. It's as simple as that. Or as I've said, very simply, just download each of the browsers that you're particularly interested in and see how it goes. There's no reason it should cause you any problems whatsoever. So thank you for your question. Okay, so we're coming towards the end of this question and answer session. It didn't take as long as I thought it would. But now we have a question from Jenny, and Jenny's asking, Kieron, is there a way to grade your website? And well, yes, there is, and it's all subjective. It's relative to what you're asking. But if you want to grade your website, there's loads of software out there that will analyze your website. For example, W3 Schools analyze your website and for errors. There's pingdom.com that you can analyze your pages of your website, which I do recommend you actually do. And you do that 3 or 4 times after you've made changes to get to the right level. But the first place that you would obviously start is by making sure that your website's coded properly and that each of the elements of the web page are coded properly and displaying properly. And then I go to pingdom.com, and it's actually tools.pingdom.com, and then I would analyze my website. And if you use that URL, by the way, that's free. You don't have to pay for it. But that's it. It's as simple as that. Just go to tools.pingdom.com and see how you get on from that point of view. But I think you'll find it to be more than adequate for what you want to do. And we have a question from Jonas, I think it is. It's Jonas or Jonas. And he's asking, Kieron, what do we do with membership sites where we have our pages are protected? I believe Google penalizes sites that hide content. Well, no, they don't actually. Google doesn't penalize you. The bottom line is that, certain membership sites will allow snippets of what's on a page to be found in the search engines in order to get people to their website and invariably get them to sign up. But I mean, I'm running 4 websites or 4 membership sites at the moment, and I've never had that issue, and no, I don't know anybody with that issue. So, but basically what I do is I basically protect all the content that needs to be protected. And in fact, what I've done in my latest endeavor, which is the website that you're on right now, is that I've set that up purely as a membership site, and that's KieronLyonsEntrepreneur.com. But all the selling of this site is done via KieronLyons.com. So when you click to register or to sign up, it will bring you to this website, and it has the same theme on both. So it has the same look and feel, same style, same colors as each other. So it's very unlikely that you're going to see any big difference other than 1 minute you're on KieronLines.com and you're looking at all the different products and pages and services, and then when you go to buy one, it's only then that it takes you to KieronLinesEntrepreneur.com and you buy the product or the service. It processes it on KieronLines.com or KieronLinesEntrepreneur.com, and it collects your credit card details, processes your order, and then it fires off your membership information. So I don't think you should be worrying so much about it, because you're listening a little bit too much to Google. And I'll remind you, like, are you in business, as I said earlier, are you in business to keep Google happy, or are you in business to make money? And I think the answer is yes, you're in business to make money. So again, it's like when we spoke earlier about the opt-in pages. I really wouldn't worry about it, because protected content is protected content, and therefore by virtue of the fact that it's protected, Google is instructed not to scroll those pages or to crawl those pages, and you shouldn't have an issue. But just simply protect all the pages you want and just be happy with your life. Thank you, Jonas for your question. And the next question comes from, and Jasmine asks, where is the best place to locate a calendar? Well, a calendar is very simple. One, you can get a calendar from anywhere, and I mean, there's Tribe, Tri.be, does a very nice calendar. They do a free version, which is very good, and also a paid version. But when you have a calendar and it's installed as a plugin, I would simply, if you've got an active calendar, then by rights it should have its own tab. So I would stick it up on top, and when somebody clicks the page, that they click into it and they have this full page calendar. And I don't see any reason why to change that. Equally, don't forget also, with a calendar though, you can put a calendar as a widget in the left or the right hand side navigation bar on your website or blog, or indeed you can put the calendar again in the same fashion in the footer of your blog. So I think the best idea is basically to put your calendar where people can see it, and that is to add it to your menu, make it a month's view, and everything should work out fine for you. And the next question comes in, and it's asking, do you pay for each of your photos? Yes, I pay for every single photo that I use on my website, and you should too. It's not really a good idea to go to Google Images and just grab photos and put them on your website. They obviously belong to somebody else and you didn't pay for them, so you don't really have the rights to use those photos. I use, from time to time, iStock photos. I use Photodoom, which is really good because you can get photos from sort of $3 to $5, and they're very, very, very good when compared to iStock Photo, for example, which is a little bit more expensive. Photos are, they're an oftenly debated issue, and a lot of people just take them from Google Images and think, nothing's going to happen and nothing really should worry me. But in fact, it should worry you, because you don't have, as I said, you don't have the rights to those photos, and therefore you could land yourself in very big trouble. So I'd use Photodoom for sure, or iStock Photo or something like that. Shutterstock are in places. You get plenty of photos, and it's better to pay for them, because you have the peace of mind then that, okay, I paid for my photos and my website is solid and it's in regulation, if you like, with everybody else. So thank you for your question. And the next question comes in from Brian, and Brian is asking, under what circumstances, Kieron, would you not use a WordPress membership site? Well, Brian, I don't really, when I think about it, and I sort of say, well, I can't think of any reason why I would not use a WordPress membership plugin to run a membership site. I mean, I've set up and installed hundreds of membership sites over my life, or indeed my career, for myself and for my clients as part of my training programs. but I can't think of any reason why I would want to use an external membership software that has nothing to do with WordPress. I mean, years ago I can't even remember the name of it. I bought a membership site for $500, $495, and this is about 10 years ago, and I couldn't use it. Bottom line, I could not use it, and it's bought and paid for. I still have the license, and I'd never ever go near it, because everything that I want to do in a WordPress membership site is achievable. It's achievable by either hard coding in certain cases, or by adding plugins and getting it to work in that way. So Brian, I really don't think there's actually any reason why you would want to use an external membership site at this stage. The one thing I will say to you, that all I remember from my experience was the one that I bought, it claimed to create pages and all sorts of things, but it was so difficult and hard to code. It was just unbelievable, and it's just not worth the trouble. So while I'm being an advocate for the WordPress membership plugins, I'm not really sort of anti going with your external website membership software, but I really just want to understand the reasons behind that, and I really think you should think carefully about that. But thank you for your question. The last question, this is great. The last question comes in from Franco, and Franco is asking, Kieron, I have a question relating to membership sites and content delivery. How do I deliver my content and or membership site, to my users? Do I need a third-party plugin or gateway to do that? Well, Franco, the short answer is no. If you have membership pages and you're selling them, you basically set them up on WordPress and just create the membership sign-up form with the link to PayPal. Or if you're using a shopping cart, you just equally put that product into the shopping cart and you create the buy button, and people just come, they read, they see, and they click through, and that's it, you're done. Now, if on the other hand you're asking about digital products and that you're selling, there is a program called Easy Digital Downloads, which protects your content and allows you to, I think it kind of works like a shopping cart, but at the same time it does protect your, say, images and what have you on your website. Say you're an artist, for example, you can show your images on your website, but nobody can download them or right-click them, for example, without first buying them through Easy Digital Downloads, which is a plugin that works on your site, so it's fairly seamless how that actually happens. But you might want to check that out also. So, ladies and gentlemen, that kind of wraps up all your questions for this session of WordPress beginning to end. And I firstly would like to thank you all very, very much for all the questions. Some of them were really great questions. I don't think there was a stupid one in all of those questions. So I really hope that I answered the questions that you asked. I hope I answered them in a way that's coherent and transparent. And I'm really shocked at how many people were asking questions, because the WordPress beginning to end is a very important part of your training, and it provides an awful lot of information of what you can use and where you can get it and such like. So I am thrilled, absolutely delighted and thrilled that you're getting so much value from WordPress beginning to end. And I thank you for all your emails, and I thank you for submitting all your questions. And I hope that you continue to do so, and that in our next training I will also be asking questions, and you'll be able to submit your questions to MIT, and we will have another video like this in another month or two, and we will keep going forward. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kieron Lyons, and I thank you, for those of you watching from around the world, I thank you for joining me, and I will see you in the very, very near future. Thank you again. Bye.